All I want is broth, and it won't open. Okay, sometimes there's such thing as good lighting, and sometimes it's horrible. Gotta find. Oh, let me find better lighting. We're good here. No. We are not. This is good. We're good. All right, what's up, everyone? It's your girl Alicia, holistic nutritionist and personal trainer. Before we get into any of our topic today, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome. You guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and send this to your friend because we want them in our community as well. So, what are we talking about today? Well, it's different from the workout videos. So today we're talking about 19 different fruits and vegetables that we should not store together because of one thing and one thing only: ethylene. So what is ethylene? Ethylene gas is a major plant hormone that influences diverse processes in plant growth, development, and stress responses throughout the plant life cycle. A gas that is emitted by fruits and vegetables as they ripen. Majority of plants produce ethylene, but it varies on the amount based on the tissue each has. So you'll find that ethylene is mainly going to be, or high ethylene producing produce is going to be in fruits than vegetables. How do we store these? When it comes to storing high ethylene crops or produce, we usually don't want to store them with any of the ones that are sensitive. But typically we want to keep the high ethylene produce in fruit bowls and the ethylene sensitive ones in the refrigerator. But this doesn't always work. So when I think about my household, like for example, apples. Apples is a high ethylene producing fruit, but we don't actually store our apples on the table or on the counter. We usually store them in the fridge because my dad loves eating his apples cold. So when you think about that and you're like, okay, well, if this is a high producing ethylene fruit, why are you storing them in the fridge? Well, honestly, it doesn't actually matter if you're storing them in the fridge or not when it comes to apples. That is your preference, but you want to kind of delegate where exactly you're going to be storing them because you don't want them affecting any of the other fruits and vegetables that you might be storing in your fridge. So you kind of want to isolate them, and usually we will isolate them in the drawer, or prior to learning all of this, they were just throwing it in and just letting it be. So that's a tip, but we'll get a little bit further into that. So what are high ethylene producing fruits? So we have apples, avocados, bananas, honeydew, mangoes, pears, peaches and plums, potatoes, strawberries, and tomatoes. So as you can see, as I was like reading off of this list, there's a lot of fruits being on this high ethylene producing chart. Now, when you think about these fruits, you kind of want to know what exactly it's going to be doing if they are with other produce. So when it comes to apples, you do want to store them away from other produce unless you're trying to ripen another fruit a little bit faster. For example, avocados. How many times have you bought avocados and they're not ripened and you have to wait days, and then by the time you get to the apple, not that apple, and by the time you get to the avocado, it's over ripened because you're just like, what the hell, why are you brown and not perfectly green? So sometimes if you want to ripen that avocado a little bit faster, you can have it stored with your apples, which is totally fine. Again, there's no exact rule to it. This is just more of a sense of like, keep in mind of things that you notice in your house that are ripening way too fast and you don't have the chance to actually enjoy that fruit or vegetable. So when we look at tomatoes, the biggest concern is how the ethylene produced by tomatoes will negatively affect vegetables and fruits that are close by. Store tomatoes together with other ethylene producing fruits. So you can store this with apples if you want to. They're not really going to affect each other as negatively if they were stored with another fruit that's sensitive to ethylene. So something that you probably didn't know or did not know is that it's not recommended to store tomatoes in the refrigerator, and doing so can negatively affect the flavor. So make sure you don't store them like that. So when we say don't store tomatoes in the fridge, we're really talking about don't store the whole tomatoes in the refrigerator. It's funny, I was actually watching, it was this like new, it was a new film with Zoe Saldana. From Scratch. So there's a scene in From Scratch, and her husband is from Sicily in Italy, and I remember the scene where his mom comes to like help out because he has cancer, and she opens the fridge and she sees the tomatoes in the fridge, and she was like super upset because you don't store, or Sicilians don't store tomatoes in the fridge. But also when you're reading this, it kind of actually, or not even reading this, when you're learning about high ethylene produce, you actually think about it, it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Honestly, it makes sense to me when I think about it like that. There could be other million reasons why they don't, but in the sense of not storing tomatoes in the fridge is because also it changes the flavor, or it can have a negative effect on the flavor. But also you do want to think about all the other stuff that's in the fridge, like your carrots, your asparagus, any other fruits, any other vegetables that's in the fridge, that tomatoes can do to it. But also, I'm like on a rampage about tomatoes right now, but I kind of like it. So also, the thing about tomatoes is that if you're not going to use all of it in one setting, then when you are storing it, obviously you're not going to store it out in the open, out on the countertop. You are going to store it in the fridge, but you're going to isolate it in a container, a glass container, not plastic. But yeah, you're going to isolate it and put it in a glass container, because that way it's not going to have any effect on any of the other fruits and vegetables or whatever foods that's in your fridge. Let's look at strawberries. I actually have not had strawberries in a very long time, to be honest. You know what it is? Okay, so during like whole pandemic COVID time, when people were making these videos of strawberries and then they were cleaning them, and then you were seeing all the like the worms, pesticides, all that stuff come out of it, I was so highly turned off on strawberries that I was kind of just like, I'm over it. I haven't had strawberries in a very long time. And honestly, if I'm going to buy strawberries, I prefer it to go to like a strawberry farm where I'm going to pick it, or make sure that they are organic and they're local and they're not coming from out of town or out of the country, because it's just, I'm scarred from those videos. Make sure you're always cleaning your vegetables just because, like, depending on, especially if you're not buying organic, there's going to be a lot of spray being put onto those fruits and those vegetables. So the best thing that you can do is take apple cider vinegar and dilute it with some lukewarm water and just allow it to soak in there for a few minutes, and then take the scrub that's mainly for the fruits and the vegetables, so you can scrub off all that pesticide. So yeah, that is it. I'm in a mood today, guys. I'm in a very big mood, and I hope you're learning something from me today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let's get into the ethylene sensitive. So on this list, you're going to see a lot of vegetables. Yeah, because what I told you before, you're going to find that fruits mainly have high producing ethylene because of the skin. Okay, so list: asparagus, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, carrots, cauliflower, cucumbers, lettuce and leafy greens, onions, and pumpkins and squash. Yeah, so when it comes to asparagus, try to like store it away from high producing ethylene, because the ethylene will increase the chemicals in the asparagus, and that's where you'll find that like the spears turn yellow, or the spears start to toughen and they turn yellow. So we don't want that. When it comes to broccoli, if it's stored with high ethylene producers, it will reduce shelf life by 50%. And this goes just with cauliflower. Cauliflower and broccoli is the same thing. So if they're stored with high producing ethylene fruits or vegetables, it will reduce its shelf life by 50%. Yeah, pumpkins and squash, very sensitive when exposed to ethylene producing crops, and will cause the interior to ripen very quickly. And yeah, just when you think about like your vegetables and they're being stored with high producing crops that produce ethylene, the main takeaway that you'll probably see, if you've seen it already, is that like your dark leafy greens will start turning a little bit yellow, or something starts developing a bitter flavor. So that's the things that you want to keep mind of, and then just be like, okay, what the hell is around my fruits and my vegetables? But yeah, guys, that was our topic for today. That's all we were talking about. I hope you liked that. It was 19 different fruits and vegetables that you do not want to store together. Again, there's no rules to this. Really and truly, there's no rules, because actually there's some rules. The only rule that I would say essentially is to just be mindful about what you're storing together. If you know the list of high producing ethylene and sensitive ethylene sensitive produce. But yeah, just store your fruits and your vegetable mindfully. Anyways, I'm your girl Alicia, holistic nutritionist and personal trainer. I hope you guys really like this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you're new to the channel, again, thank you. If you're coming back, thank you. Send this to a friend, because we want your friend in our community as well. And I will see you guys later.